Hello everyone, X-Walk Hill Bethelite here, and it's starting to get cold. The weather's changing, starting to get rainy, starting to get a little cold outside, and this is where we need to look at children and how their parents aren't really looking out for their well-being. It's cold, it's rainy, and you're going to have little kids. I mean, people in the community can just look when they see Jehovah's Witnesses come knocking on doors. And this is the thing that people fall prey to concepts, but they don't really look at the facts. So the concept is, oh, we're doing good if we go knocking on people's doors, giving them watchtowers. The fact is that seasons change. It's cold outside. It's rainy outside. You have kids. You need to take that into consideration. God, if you are a religious person, gave us common sense. There's no common sense in going out and having your young kids, I'm talking 8, I'm talking 6, I'm talking younger, I'm talking kids in car seats, out in the elements. It's one thing if you are a missionary. If you're a missionary for some church or some cause or something like that, and you're out in a blizzard, that's one thing. That's understandable. But once you start seeing little kids getting blown around in the wind, and these cold weathers, it's going to get colder. And as it gets colder, the Jehovah's Witnesses aren't going to get any smarter and have any more common sense. So you get an understanding of the hive mindset, where you don't just have a couple of people doing things that don't make sense, like having kids out. You go out knocking on doors. Churches at least have some sort of common sense, where if there is a program and it's more suited towards adults, and they'll have a place for you to take your kids. Jehovah's Witnesses is a group, and there is a lot of concepts that they grasp, and then they go from 0 to 100. There's no thought, zero thought. They read somewhere in the Bible where there was preaching, and they went from that to bringing their kids out in the cold and the elements and the rain. The kids are getting sick, going to school sick, because they think their little 8-year-olds need to hand someone a watchtower. They're trying to teach their little kids how to hand people watchtowers. That's what they think God wants. And as ridiculous as it is, people do ridiculous things when there's a large group of people doing it. If there was a large group of people that all thought Martians were going to land on someone's roof tomorrow, then there would be someone that would just join into that hive mentality. Hey, all these other people think it's true, so it must be true. Why do you think it's true? Oh, just don't ask questions. That is 100% Jehovah's Witness mentality. And the problem is the kids. The kids, who's looking after the kids? It would be great if Child Protective Services were to step in and say, hey, you guys, it would be great if some organization could look out for the kids and say, okay, this is the United States of America. Adults, grown adults, have the right to go out and do completely dumb things because, according to them, it's their religion. But there should be some protection for little kids. That little 4-year-old doesn't have a choice but to be out in the rain and cold and hand somebody a watchtower because their parents are telling them they're going to die in Armageddon if they don't. God is going to be angry at them and kill them if they don't. This is reality. There's no separation in the Jehovah's Witness organization between adults and the indoctrination adults get and the little kids. The little kids are getting the same indoctrination as the adults. There was a book that Jehovah's Witnesses were using, and even if you don't know much about Jehovah's Witnesses, you know that they pass out books and magazines and things like that. Well, there was a book, we all remember the Revelation book, very adult type of a book. Had some scary things in it. The kids were handed those books just like the adults. The kids were looking at the same things that the adults are looking at. So when the adults are told, if you don't do this, that, and the third, you will die at Armageddon, and Armageddon could come any day now, any second. Matter of fact, it will come. Jehovah's Witness theology isn't that it might, it's that it will. It's right around the corner. God is about to just go destroy a lot of people, kill a lot of people who don't do whatever Jehovah's Witnesses say they should. They're telling the kids that. So you got little 6-year-old kids out in the cold, coughing, knocking on doors with their little mitten on. At some age, they're going to have to start turning in time. Little kids, they're going to be filling out this little report of how much time they spent knocking on doors, how much time they spent handing out books, how many books they gave out. Do they have any Bible studies? We expect you to have a Bible study. Ask a Jehovah's Witness to be honest with you. At what specific age do kids start getting the same type of pressure, the same type of graphic detail of destruction, death, doomsday? Keep in mind, this is a doomsday cult that the adults get. If they are honest with you, they will tell you that the kids hear everything that the adults hear. There's no separation. The kids at some point are going to be expected to get up in front of a crowd of people and start giving speeches. And I'm not sure if they still do, but before they would grade them. They would give you some sort of counsel, and they would give this in front of everyone. At what point do the kids become required to knock on doors in the cold, the rain? I mean, I was feeling sick yesterday, and I wasn't even out in the elements. I just was out in the elements long enough to go to work, go to the store, just basic things. I wasn't trying to spend an hour knocking on doors like these Jehovah's Witnesses have these little kids doing. What is our definition of child abuse? We need to figure out what the definition of child abuse so we can figure out if making a little kid, and I mean making a little kid, 4, 5, 6 years old, go out in the cold, in the rain, like there's some missionary or something, knock on doors and pass out magazines, and get up on a stage in front of a crowd of people and have to subject themselves to the same type of judgment that adults get when they get up in the front of a crowd of people. They may get up there with their parent, but they know They're supposed to give a presentation and they're not supposed to mess up. That's pressure. That's pressure that you're not supposed to have on a kid. The teaching of, well, medical treatments, Watchtower is going to dictate that you shouldn't use medical treatments that would replenish your body of blood if you were to lose enough to threaten your life. That morbid teaching that if your life is in danger because you've lost so much blood, Watchtower says you can't medically have a doctor replenish your body of blood, you have to just die. That morbid teaching is not just the adults, it's the kids. A lot of people in general, I think, that aren't brought up in cults, aren't raised in those type of environments, they may not have as much sympathy for a person who's in a cult. Because they think they're adults, they've made up their mind, this is what they've decided to do, this is America, let them do it. Let the idiots run around knocking on doors talking about the end of the world for the next 100 years. You know what I mean? Just we don't care. But we should care as a community about the kids, the little kids. Little kids are put through this. Little kids, as soon as little kids are publishers or what have you, the little kids have to write down on their field service, write down on these forms how much time they spent and how many books they gave out and sorts of things like that. That sort of thing shouldn't be allowed. And you have a hive mentality where nobody's a good parent because nobody's going to stand up and say, hey, I'm not going to have my kid out in the elements. Hey, my little kid is not going to be thinking like he has to fill out this form with so much time on it or he's going to die. We're not teaching my little kid these morbid teachings. Well, you don't have too many people that are members of this organization that have common sense when it comes to raising and rearing little kids. This is the same cult that for the longest time taught, well, the end of the world is coming and it's so close that there's no need to send your kids to college. And all these parents, there are a lot of them who just didn't send the kids to college. Think about it. Hive mentality, destructive things, thoughts that are destructive. And you wonder who's looking out for the kids. The parents aren't looking out for the kids. The parents are going to do whatever Watchtower says. So Watchtower says teach the kid that there's going to be a time where God is going to come out of the clouds and kill everybody. There's going to be dead people everywhere. This is exactly what they teach the kids, little kids. How can this not be traumatic? How? If, let's say I had a daughter, and let's say I taught my daughter that her mother was going to be killed if she didn't do whatever I said. The mother didn't do it. If the mother didn't do whatever I said, I teach this little kid, say she's 5, 6, that the mom is going to die. Everyone would say that was wrong. I mean, I would get blasted from everybody that heard that. This is exactly what parents teach kids who have a parent. Let's say the father is not going to the Kingdom Hall, but the mother is. Well, the mom will teach the kid, hey, your dad's going to die because he's not going to the Kingdom Hall. Your dad's going to die because he's not knocking on doors giving out the magazine. The dad will teach the daughter or son the same thing about the mom if the mom's not going. The mom decides to leave the cult. Hey, your mother's going to die now because she's not passing out your magazine. And she doesn't go inside the Kingdom Hall and raise her hand to repeat what was already mentioned in the paragraph. I mean, it's just blatant, obvious. If it's not under the scope or realm of child abuse, it's under the scope or realm of poor parenting. The women that have their kids in the car and start going off on the dad, talking about your dad ain't shit, and your dad don't want you, and your dad ain't gonna come pick you up this weekend, and the kid's crying. It's the exact same thing with Jehovah's Witnesses when the mom isn't a Jehovah's Witness and they're telling that to their kid, or the dad isn't, or let's go further, the uncle, the aunt, their cousin, their brother, their sister, their whatever relative is not going to the Kingdom Hall, giving out magazine and doing whatever Watchtower says do. Jehovah's Witnesses will teach the kid at the youngest age, there's no age that they don't do it, that this person is going to die, and they're going to die any day now. That's where the concept that religion should just run rampant, and that there should be laws against physically going out and shooting anybody, and physically kicking down somebody's door and burglarizing them, but there shouldn't be very many laws outside of that. I don't really agree with that. I think there should be rules protecting kids. You're not allowed to tell your kids, teach your kids as a part of a religion that they are going to die if they don't pass out these magazines. You're not allowed to teach your kids as a part of a religion that their mom is going to die if she doesn't pass out these magazines and do whatever I tell them to do. So comment down below, let me know what you think. 937-789-4029. That is a number we can try to text, discuss it further. Ex-Wallkill Bethelite signing out.